Hi, my name is Lauren Howe. So fun fact is I'm obsessed with sharks. And I always have been since I was a kid. Actually, even at Miss Universe, I had my quick little interview with Steve Harvey, and he asked me he's like, I hear you're obsessed with sharks. When you're a kid, like so many kids are obsessed when you're, 3, 4 years old with dinosaurs. And of course, sharks fall under that. So then that quickly started evolving over the years. And then as a kid, I watched Jaws for the first time with my mom. And normally someone should be terrified of these horror films, right? But for some reason, and my mom probably should have started asking a lot of questions or brought me to a therapist at this point, when I felt bad for the shark. And I started asking her, I'm like, why are they being mean? Why? Which then started leading me down a path at a young age of just doing research and understanding, how sharks actually behave. And I had this dream of filming a documentary about it and starting to expose, like, this is what they actually are. They're one of the world's top predators, but they're not hunting humans. And to dispel that myth that has then resulted in so many horrible things that happen to sharks in this world, which are necessary for our ecosystems, I just wanted to shed a light on it somehow. And eventually, a young man named Rob Stewart filmed a documentary called Sharkwater, which just absolutely was revolutionary in changing global policies around the world and exposing the shark finning industry and how shark byproducts are being used in places we have no idea as consumers, and then that a lot of people often don't care about because of this stereotype that is overarching on sharks. So when NOGU and I started chatting about what's a collection that we can do, what is an animal, a product, what's something you're passionate about, immediately it was sharks for my own obsession. Actually, my favorite first necklace that I wore for so long as a teenager was a Sharktooth I picked up on my very first shark dive. I think jewelry is something that transcends a lot of different areas and a lot of different interests, because there are so many causes and things to feel passionate about, and often to integrate that into a way that either can be worn in everyday life, that can make you think of it without necessarily saying, this is the charity I support and here's the poster in my room to remind me every day, is you can mix those two worlds. You can mix your passion with something that you get to showcase and love and display. And that, to me, is, I think, the power of integrating social messaging with jewelry. I think what people don't realize is how much thought and effort into the details go into designing jewelry. It's not pumping it out like a factory, especially in a fast fashion day and age, where sometimes it can feel tempting to say, we have this idea, let's get it out as fast as possible. What's the shortest design to table time? But with NOGU and this collection, we really took our time to analyze the details and make sure it was perfect. When I had my year as Miss Canada, it was so important to me to partner with Canadian companies and to showcase the talent that we have in Canada, because we do. We have incredible amounts of talent that should be celebrated so much more. So I was beyond excited to partner with NOGU, and then to see their excitement as well on how much work that they do, and also sparking conversation and also integrating, yes, this is a beautiful piece of jewelry, but here's something you may not know, was something that really resonated for me. When I first saw the collection, it didn't quite dawn on me that this was real. Until you physically get to touch it and see it come to life, you are overwhelmed with a complete mix of, one, this is happening, this is reality, and two, it's exciting to watch an idea come to life. It's beautiful. I was obsessed as a kid with my very first Sharktooth necklace. I picked it up from my first shark dive, and I wore it almost every day until it fell off. And starting to shop for a new one is when I noticed you either get one of two worlds. You get the surfer on the beach, puka shell type, very casual Sharktooth necklace, or I had a hard time trying to find an intersection of what's something that represents a Sharktooth but still is classy and elegant, and that I can incorporate with other pieces of jewelry that's like gold or silver. So that kind of was originally the idea behind it, aside from the fact I'm just straight up obsessed with sharks. Honestly, I think it can represent so many different things for a ton of different people. I think there's something about like the power of sharks and the idea of a shark tooth specifically that I love, because it's an animal of strength rather than necessarily, sometimes as women, there's that old stereotypical expectation of needing, be delicate, be a delicate flower. And I just have never been like that. I'm an only child, I have a strong personality, and that's why to me, like I love animals that are strong and that represent that strength. It just is a little reminder for me to be strong. Stereotypes are made to be broken. And that's where I feel there's a little bit of connection with the idea of what a shark is supposed to be, what people think it is, and what it is in reality. And sometimes we all have those parallels, no matter what your story is in life. You might have a certain expectation that's put on you by society, that's put on you by your parents, but you can control and have the strength to control what your story is and what you want that to be, and to fight for it. Rob Stewart is someone that I've looked up to my whole life. And I knew in some way, shape, or form I would either end up working with him one day or just doing anything I can to help support his work. And you don't necessarily think about how you can do that sometimes when you're a teenager and you're still trying to figure out just like, how do I get to university? But for me, I knew I would always circle back a little bit to that creative side. And after, it's so difficult to talk about. Rob's work literally changed so much in this world. And especially, he impacted so many people in different markets, whether he met them or impacted them indirectly. But it's funny, even in Toronto specifically, how many people have either direct connection or an indirect connection to Rob, of how he influenced their life. And being at the Sharkwater 2 premiere, it was unbelievably overwhelming just to see how many people he impacted. Like it's literally the strongest word I can think of for what he's done as an individual through his work, and how many people looked at him in such a beautiful light. So being at the Sharkwater 2 premiere, it's when we were at the premiere for the film, you'd have moments where if there was a silence, there's like a small transition in the film, and you would just hear throughout the audience just a random like and sniffle, or like emotional reaction. And it just, I think, is so beautiful that despite everything that happened, his family pushed forward, his friends pushed forward in making sure that his work continues to live on and that it doesn't stop there. And Sharkwater 2 is just a testament to that. The Rob Stewart Sharkwater Foundation is a way of continuing Rob's work and his legacy and what he's done. And one of my favorite quotes from him is actually that conservation is a preservation of human life, and that above all else is worth fighting for. And that is just so much at the core of the work that they're continuing to do. And a huge part of that is educating communities and empowering others to continue that work instead of necessarily just talking about it. When I first heard that they were filming and in the process of filming Sharkwater 2, and especially that a part of that story was to inform the public and people that sharks are being used in areas we don't even know, including pet food, cosmetics. When I first heard that, that's when I reached out to the team. I wanted to get involved, and at that time, I may not have any experience necessarily behind the camera in filming and production, but I did have some other avenues and experiences, especially with Miss Canada and whatever it is that I could do, and in my own communities, help shed awareness on that. I just wanted to find a way to help in any way that I could. So that's when I first originally reached out to the Sharkwater team directly to get involved, and I feel this collection is just a little bit of an extension of that, of whatever I can do to help bring awareness to Rob's work, to Sharkwater team's work. It's just another conversation piece that needs to be had that often isn't.